Jordan Peele's Get Out had a lot to say, but Us is arguably twice as ambitious, doubling down on both the horror and the social commentary. But if you didn't quite catch what the movie was going for, then it might also be a frustrating watch. There's a lot going on beneath the surface of this movie, and we mean that literally. The premise of Us revolves around sinister slasher movie doppelgangers who show up out of nowhere with apparently murderous motives. It supposedly focuses on one family, the Wilsons, being attacked in a home invasion by brutal copies of themselves. But the third act reveals that it's not just the Wilsons having this strange experience. It's the entire United States of America, with an unfathomably huge amount of doubles being led by a woman named Red, the shadow version of Lupita Nyong'o's Adelaide. That's the first twist the movie throws at you. But the second big twist, teased out slowly, is that the Addie the audience has been following the whole movie isn't the original Adelaide. It's her double, who switched places with her at a young age during the movie's opening flashback scene. Grown-up Addie is haunted by an experience from her youth, when she wandered into a boardwalk funhouse and saw a sinister vision of herself. But the movie leaves out crucial information of what happened during that encounter, apparently reflecting the fact that Addie herself has suppressed what happened. As she recalls, she wandered into the attraction, found herself, and then shortly returned to her panicking parents. But as the final frames of the movie reveal, a whole lot of consequential stuff happened during that brief period, like the fact that the original Addie never came back. In the movie's final moments, Addie realizes, or perhaps just finally admits to herself, that she is the double from the underground, who strangled the original Addie and took her place, leaving the original Addie shackled down below to begin a new life as Red. One big clue that this is what happened is that Red is the only one of the doubles that can talk. Everyone else only emits inhuman grunts and moans, with Red speaking in a raspy, damaged voice. Turns out this comes from the damage her double did to her throat when she strangled her. When the double entered the real world, she still didn't know how to speak, leaving her parents baffled at their daughter's sudden, apparently trauma-induced muteness. Addie spends the first act sporting a serious sense of dread, but the twist changes our perception of what that dread is all about. While it's played somewhat ambiguously, it seems like the adult Addie truly does not know at the beginning of the movie where she really came from, but she knows something is wrong and that a reckoning is coming.
I feel like it means like she's getting closer.
The first thing most people probably did when they got home from seeing Us was Google the phrase Jeremiah 11:11, which turns up in the film multiple times. Though translations differ, the sentiment of that Bible passage is pretty clear. It's payback time. The International Standard Version of the passage translates into, "I'm about to bring disaster on them from which they won't be able to escape. They'll cry out to me, but I won't listen to them." It's clear what's being set up here, an us versus them conflict between the oppressed tethered underclass and the ignorant privileged surface dwellers, led by Red, the original Adelaide. One big thing the Red twist does is completely recontextualize who the viewer should be rooting for in the story. Red still became a bad person, but realizing why she's so thirsty for revenge against Addie makes her a sympathetic villain, and vice versa. One person who clearly picks up on Addie's otherworldly nature is her son, Jason, who witnesses her growling and snarling her way through several fights in the movie. While he doesn't say anything about it, he comes to increasingly regard his mother with apprehension, even terror, realizing that the woman he thought he knew may not be the one she said she is. At the end of the movie, as Addie realizes her true nature while Jason watches, Jason pulls his mask down on his head, to which Addie smiles in response, putting on a mask of her own. Addie's true nature as a tethered person also comes into play during some of her more inexplicable actions, like getting out of the car to watch the Zora double die, or refusing to strike the double of Jason when he confronts them near a burning car. Her actions don't seem to make sense, until you understand what she's realizing. These people are her people, and maybe she doesn't want to hurt them after all. The question of who created the tether doesn't get answered, and that's probably for the best. It's also what Jordan Peele intended, with many of the movie's specifics being intentionally open to interpretation. Think of it less like a puzzle and more like an ink blot.
I want to leave some runway for people to explore what it means to them.
While the viewer might think that Addie's visit to the mirror maze is what triggered the creation of her double, the ending demonstrates that the doubles already existed underground long before she arrived. How? It's unknown. It's designed to be that way, and it's really not important. No answer on this earth would be as satisfying as the mystery feels. The most obvious explanation is that the doubles come from a secret government experiment, an unfathomably massive cloning project of some sort that copied every American's body while failing to replicate the soul. But since the scale of such an operation seems impossible for humans to accomplish, it's hard to take this explanation at face value. In a logistical sense, nothing can explain how the doubles are created, much less how they got 300 million pairs of scissors, Freddy Krueger gloves, and red jumpsuits. The fact is, the real villains of the movie are the people who set up this deranged experiment before abandoning its subjects. But whoever these people are, they never actually appear. Without the ability to identify, confront, and fight back against their real oppressors, the characters instead tear each other apart. And that sounds like a big fat metaphor for American society to us.
We are our own worst enemy.
Jordan Peele has described us as being about the fear of the other and the self-destructive tendencies that fear can cultivate. With this framework in mind, the tethered can represent a lot of different groups. Maybe it's all the people that American society has condemned over the centuries, victims of the slave trade, mass incarceration, racism, or a predatory class divide. They represent the forgotten Americans who fall through the wide holes in the country's social safety nets, the people we abandon. The striking final shots of the movie show these people stretched across the continent in a human chain, hand in hand beneath the blue sky and the sun. For so long they suffered, living only a shadow of a good life that their doubles enjoyed. Not anymore though. It took a lot of killing to get topside, but considering the suffering they went through, it's almost hard to blame them for making the effort. Remember what Red told Adelaide? They're humans too, you know, just like us. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.